Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this session. Just a reminder that we have live interpretation for Portuguese and Spanish for this session. So you will see the little switch just below the presentation. So feel free to switch to Portuguese and Spanish if you wish. On this session, we will be hearing Bruno and Lucas about under the hood of BBB 3.1. Small spoiler: we are using version 3.1 here in this session, so you might notice some things a little differently. Introducing our speakers, so they are my colleagues here at MConf. So Lucas is team leader of the live team, the team responsible for developing on top of BigBlueButton. Lucas has been working for us for many years now, and Bruno is product manager at MConf, responsible for all the research that we do on product. And I'm going to hand over to you guys. Thank you very much for this presentation.
Thank you, Felipe. I will start, and Lucas, feel free to interrupt me anytime you feel. Okay. First of all, we would like to thank you to RNP to support our research and make this possible. I would like to thank you, Wesley Patrick, which is here with us, the responsible for RNP side. Okay, so first of all, we would like to start explaining why we start doing this research and this new UI project. Because we listen a lot from our customers that BBB is a powerful tool, but sometimes they don't know exactly how to use it or to extract the maximum potential of the product. For example, those are some feedbacks from our users. They say that it's too complex, or maybe the icons are not so intuitive. They like the features, but a little bit confusing to use it, and they get lost, and things like that. So this project aimed to improve the discoverability of the tools, and also to improve the experience using BBB. So we asked for our customers and users, how can we explain all these feelings in one image? And they say that could be something like this, which is a powerful machine with a lot of features, but when you sit to drive, you feel a little bit scary because there's a lot of buttons. And sometimes if I click on a button, I may broke the car or something like that. So the idea is to improve the UI based on these feedbacks. So how we work on this project? First of all, we select three points to make the research. One point were with the users, so we make a lot of deep interview with students and teachers. We also collect some feedbacks at the end of the session. We have a feature on our site which the students and the users can rate the experience. So that was a font of feedbacks. We also make a market research. So we compare from other players in the market, made a research from the future of the education on the technological education and things like that. We also made a review on our current state UI. So here, an example of how many feedbacks we collected at the end of the session. So the user can give us feedbacks more detailed about their problems or their wishes. And it works like that. Please, Lucas.
Yeah, I'll interrupt. So as Bruno said, we at some point had like 40,000 feedback from users, and at some point, BigBlueButton had a feedback screen right at the end of the meeting, which was a star score, like how did you like this meeting, and comment, right? And one of the things that we did on our private fork of BigBlueButton, which we call mconf live, was we had a more advanced feedback system, which allows us to customize the questions and to have kind of different routes where the user can follow the questioning. So if the user didn't like something, you have different questions. If they really like something, you want to maybe get some feedback of how they liked it, why they like it. And this is now integrated on BBB 3.0 and 3.1. When you end this meeting, when you're redirected, you see the feedback, which is something that we created. And what this allowed us to do was get a lot more details from the feedback. So as we see on this slide, we have the experience rating, but we also have it by topic, and we can have the deeper questions. So, okay, so you don't like audio. Why? Did you have trouble connecting? You don't like whiteboard. Why? Then you couldn't find the tools. You want maybe a tool that's not there. So this really allowed us to get a better understanding of how the product is used. So Bruno is showing you this is a picture of the feedback you'll be seeing now. And as we said, this is a separate project that you can now set up with your BigBlueButton installations, which we call it the custom feedback app. It's open sourced. Still takes some time to configure, but the idea is that we can help the community to integrate this, and so you can have this analysis for yourself. Yeah, so you can go to the next slide.
We also have an inside tool here that we can summarize all the feedbacks in a graphic way. So we have this kind of Looker Studio where we can see how many feedbacks we received, the rating, the user role, the problems, and things like that in a more dynamic way. So it is also a tool that we use a lot for improvement and monitoring the feedbacks. We also have a dashboard where we can see how many features are used by session or by customer, and we see this percentage where it was like an input for the new UI, because a lot of the new features that, for example, customers use it to ask, we already have, but they are a little bit hidden, so they are not used. Here some screenshots of our research of the similar tools and the heuristic analysis that we made over the UI, the current UI that we have. And here also another screenshot of the project where we have a lot of information in the same board to navigate and keep in touch. So in the end of the research, we crossed the data that we have, and we got these 4 points, which were the main pain points from the users. They said that the features are nice but hidden, or sometimes the features are out of context. For example, a multimedia tool is inside of I don't know, a setting room tool. So the tool is out of context. Also, maybe poorly positioned. Maybe the tool is not that visible for a quickly access during the session. And sometimes there are tools that are really nice, but a little bit complex to use. So some user wishes that it's to improve the breakout rooms management, have a more interactive chat, that it's something that we already have here. More intuitive ways to use and interpret polls, and something else. So what we did, how we proceed with all this data collected. So first of all, we made like a card sorting with users and ask them to categorize the features according to they understand. So they think, like, for example, audio, camera, and video are always on tools which are tools that I always using and something like that. And we found 4 categories, which are drawing this piece of paper in a low fidelity prototype, where we try to group the tools according to them perspective. So we have 4 groups, which are the active tools, which are tools that moderators, viewers use a lot. For example, chat, user list, shared notes, and things like that. We have like interaction tools, which are specific, are for teachers, for example, to use for give more dynamism in the class. We have the setting tools, which are setting the room, for example, dark mode, lock settings, and things like that. And the multimedia management, where you can upload your presentation, share videos, and other things like that for the TL draw space. So after that, we start to prototype in paper some ideas for the screen. And after that, we have like a high fidelity prototype that we made in Figma. We have like an interactive Figma. We did this because we would like to apply a user research before go to development. And then we apply with some class of the University of Rio Grande do Sul, which are the class of the digital interface design. So they made the user test and give us feedback. We also applied the test with, I don't know, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was almost 300 users, right, Felipe? So we collect a lot of feedbacks from the real users. And then with those feedbacks, we run those feedbacks in a statistic program. We have like these scores from our interface. Then we have a time to improve the layout, the interface, and then we send it to the dev team. And after this, we have the 3.1 running in Conferencia Web since February. And these are some feedbacks from our users after the development. The people like the simplicity, the new interface, it looks great, easy to access. And also here is an example, which is the access to the learning dashboard, which was an awesome tool. A lot of teachers asked for, but they don't know how to find it. Now it's always on our sidebar, and this was a great feedback that it's something that we see that we reached the point that we were looking for. We also have a new, how can we say this, Lucas, a new space, a new area?
Yeah, so this is really, really cool because we call it the app gallery. We wanted maybe widget gallery or something, plugin gallery, but the idea is that here is a space where, as Bruno said, most of the interaction tools, things for teachers and moderators, if you open it, you won't see as many tools as maybe you're seeing as this picture or me and Bruno are seeing when we open it. But this is a place for the teacher, the presenter, to find tools like the timer, like the breakout rooms, like questions, everything. And this is a place where plugin creators, so now BBB since 3.0 has a way to be extended via plugins. So we needed lots of places on the interface to put these buttons, put these new features, and this is kind of a place where the users know that they can go there because they want to find something with interactions, something that will enhance the experience. So it's a pretty cool, this sidebar that we call the app gallery. And as you can see, you can pin some of those apps that we're calling on the leftmost navigation bar that we call. And right now we pin it, it's fixed on 3 maximum. As you can see, Bruno's screen had the resolution is way up, so we could pin lots more stuff, but this is we maybe could configure more in the future. But I think that's the idea. So this is something that maybe it's not specifically requested by the users, but this is looking into the future where BigBlueButton can actually incorporate lots more, a lot of functionality that maybe we didn't think about because we wanted to be extensible. We wanted to be have pluggable components and behaviors. So that's the idea behind the app gallery. Oh yeah, and so this is not something specific to the design, but I'd like to talk a little about the work that our team has done with media on BigBlueButton, and this is present on 3.0 as well. Paulo from our team has been the great force behind the development of the media in BigBlueButton. And the thing is that by moving to LiveKit, we did several interesting things. Like now we have a more modern media ecosystem, and we have instead of different media stacks like we had FreeSwitch and MediaSoup and Currento before that, we can do everything with one project, which is LiveKit. It has compatible client and server-side APIs, so people know what's going on. If they learn LiveKit, they can potentially contribute on the client and server side. And what is pertaining to this presentation specifically and the design is, since it has a open source community, a big open source community, and lots of modern applications of this architecture, it's easier to find people that can collaborate, can understand our media code, and join the project, maybe build something on top of it. And with this new architecture, we also have the capability of integrating the SFU, which is the extracting different video and audio tracks as different tracks, and not as maybe a mix of videos or a mix of audio, where we had the prior versions media was, for example, we got one media stream from audio from the server. Now we can separate them and we can access them via client-side APIs, which can be accessed by plugins and extensions. So for example, simultaneous interpretation, the plugin we're using right now, is a component on top of BigBlueButton, is a plugin, is something that we put on top of it. And with it, we can have multiple audio flows, multiple languages being spoken at the same time. So this is the kind of thing sorry, that we've been trying to build. We've been trying to get those things that in the past we built for different customers, we built for RNP, and we built as a fork, right, as some private code that we put on top of BigBlueButton. Now it's still proprietary, it's still stuff that maybe doesn't make sense for everyone that uses the project, but it can be built on top of BigBlueButton. And so that's kind of the idea behind the design of some of these features, right?
Right. Here, just an idea of how the new UI is performing. These are customer satisfaction score that I took this sprint yesterday. The first one is from our fork, the Ilus, and the second one is from Conferência Web. We have like this kind of rating around 95%, which is very good, but we know that we have a lot of improvements to do. So for this new UI, it's working very well. So we have some next steps, which are big next steps, not a little refinements, which we like to share with you. The first one is to improve the media area, where we would like to improve the sharing content with a place where you can upload your presentation, share your YouTube videos or your Drive, Google Drive documents and things like that in one place, and have like a more dynamism to change between content. So the idea is to have like something similar to this screen. We are also working on idea of modular features. So we would like to, for example, open 2 features on the sidebar in the panel. So here we have like an example of the chat and the shared notes open, and another example with the user list and shared notes open. So for a teacher, it's really nice. So for example, I can activate the timer and still follow the conversations on chat and have these 2 features at the same time. Lucas said before about our app gallery. These are some features that we developed as a test during our last BBB summit here in Porto Alegre. This one, it's like an example of the chat overlay feature, where you can see in the first screen here in the left side is showing the messages sent by the chat over the screen. And in the right side, it's like the student sending the message and for the teacher, and you can see if you have, like, for example, the full screen mode, you still following the message from the chat. This one is called the word cloud, which is something to improve, for example, polls or warm-up activities. So you can this feature take out the messages in the chat and start making a word cloud based on how many times the word is typed. The more bigger they are. Here the example. A lot of text to see how it works. This one, it's something that, for example, we already have this tool, which is pick select a random user, but here is more a funny way to do this with a wheel. So you can see the wheel running and waiting to select a student. This one is similar as Fred used it as warm-up yesterday, which is to share your location. So all the users in the room can share their location and see on the map where you are working or studying from here. So we have a map with pinpoints from the students. This one is the room photo. I don't know, group photo. I don't know.
Group picture, yeah.
Yeah. If you have a class and you like to make a photo of all the students, you can ask them to take a photo. So you don't need to open your camera for everyone. You make it like in private. And after that, you receive this montage, this kind of the photo for register the moment. Yeah, it's asked before take the photo, so you take the photo in private, no one see. Lucas?
Yeah, so and the idea to all these apps, they are built as plugins on top of BigBlueButton. And so this is how this ties with everything we're speaking. Is we wanted a way to empower different apps and different applications on top of BigBlueButton by building on what has been done on 3.0 by the IMDT that created the plugin system. So the idea behind the design and all those kind of choices is to try to empower this. And now I'm going to speak about what we're calling a design system, which is something that our design team and the Blindside Network design team has been thinking a lot about. So the idea behind this, which is it's for the future, but I'm going to try to convince you that it's a good idea. So you can go to the next slide. Oh, 2 minutes. Yeah, the idea is that we want a unified look and feel for the client and the plugin. So the button you see on the plugin is the same that you would see on the client potentially. We want this to be customizable, and we want it to be easily extensible. And we want these to be building blocks. So the idea is that the way we did this design was our design team did the Figma prototypes, did the tests with real users, and then my team, which is the development team, just looked at it and reproduced it in as code. And we want to bridge this gap a little and have actual component library, actual way of using this as building blocks, and so we can have a consistent look and feel. And the utopia would be having this be built by actual designers and not just by developers. So Bruno is showing some pictures of how it would look like. You can just go ahead because we don't have a lot of time. And so now we have lots of questions, and we'll try to answer most of them.
Guys, this is great. Let me make a suggestion. You can linger for questions. The next session starts in 4 minutes. I want to kind of try to pull as many people over. But this, may I suggest that anyone who's interested in the design and the UI, stay here. And then I think Lucas and Bruno will be happy to answer your questions. And the next session is starting on the Moodle integration, which please join it if you're interested. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just thank you both. We'll finish the recording. Feel free to stay. And I just want to, for anyone who's watching this as a recording or is here, appreciate all the work that has gone into both the design and the feedback and the iterations. And I think, as you said, we're still working on it. If we take a page from Steve Roots and TL Draw, we're always polishing BigBlueButton. And the UI is certainly an area that we can benefit from lots of feedback. And please continue to give it. So thank you, Lucas and Bruno. That was a great presentation.
I was going to say there's two questions. I think they're mostly the same questions that Miro used the question app to send. And they're asking about privacy concerns with sharing camera. The profile screen that we didn't talk much about it, and the camera modal that shows you the camera, it runs locally. Even the virtual background does it locally. So before you actually share the webcam, it's not going to the server, it's not being recorded. Maybe the interface should make this clearer, so that, because I know that people that are privacy minded, sometimes they might be scared, oh, the camera, I'm seeing my camera. So yeah, good feedback. At the beginning, people asked about the survey. The survey is something that you can install and configure on your BigBlueButton server. So if you have a BigBlueButton provider, they can install it and enable it for your institution. If you have your self-hosted server, you can configure it. It's an extra module. You can, Stephen, yeah, go ahead.
Did you ask me to unmute there? I wasn't sure, but I wanted to do a plugin where you could divide up the time for a meeting between people, and then have that, if they run out of talk time, then they automatically can't unmute anymore. So, and then if you like what someone says, instead of doing an emoji, you just give them a little talk time and say, hey, I like what you said. Maybe we'll hear some more about that. So I want to create like a little sort of economy just for the meeting where people can pass around a talking currency. So that's the plugin that I want to do, because I know it would help at my organization tremendously. So that's why I was asking about that API. So you think you have the muting API in there somewhere? And where is it?
We have
documentation where I guess I can just throw the whole documentation into a search and find it.
Yes, but I'll get the link for you. We have something we call the plugin SDK, and there's lots of examples there, lots of projects for each functionality. Will have a small sample that you can look into. Right now, it's still on its inception, so it's hard to maybe find lots of tutorials and stuff. But I think you can do this, and we actually do this internally, manually, with the timer, right? Okay, you have 2 minutes to talk, and then the person just mutes themselves. But it's a cool idea.
Yeah, but the whole idea is to do as a currency, so you can, instead of using emojis, you would give people time to, if you like what they said. That way, the people who want to talk actually get the time to talk. So that's the idea. Have you heard any users request a feature like that? Because people
not
say
really,
it's a good
but
idea,
that's the beauty of plugins, that now it doesn't need to be so centered on these companies that work with BigBlueButton. You could actually do this, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. Let me see if I can. Okay, so Sohab, not sure if your name is said that way, pronounced that way, but they talked about two things on the sidebar. So yeah, the idea is that we were still exploring, is that we know people liked having the user list squeezed on the side together with the chat. But another feedback that we got a lot was we need more space for chat, we need more space for the presentation. So the idea is, if you don't need the user list, it could actually go away. Like, for example, probably you're just seeing chat right now. But if we could have like a modular sidebar where we can have it divided in two parts, or we can have it maybe by the other side of the meeting, a second sidebar or something like that, and we could put any element there, you could build your own interface, you could build your own tools the way that it would be more useful for you. So most of the stuff that we're trying to do is support as many use cases as you would want, because we have lots of customers that have different use cases. So that's the idea. Actually, Karen, we can actually lock audio with lock settings. And I think we use this for the first few days of the event, where no user can unmute, if that's your question. But I think that's what we were trying to say. Bruno was trying to say lots of features actually exist, but they are kind of hard to get to or learn. Most of our work has been trying to make this easier, right?
You lock it by user. In other words, if you have someone that's very talkative, you can just lock it by the user.
You can mute the users as well.
Not everyone, but a specific user.
Yeah, I think you can. Right, we can. Right. Sometimes I forget all the features that we have. I can maybe click on the user. Yeah, the moderator has a mute button, right? Right next to the user list. No, I'm not finding it. So maybe we can just mute all users, I think. But we could build that. That's some good feedback.
I'm in meetings probably 50 hours a week on different platforms. So that would be a feature I think would be beneficial.
Yeah, we have, Lucas, but if the user need to have the open mic, so you can mute this user. You can check in the user list. For example, my user have a mic. If you click, you're going to mute me.
And Bruno cannot unmute himself.
So Karen, you're asking if he mutes the user, can the user then unmute himself?
Yeah, have it so that if you have a lot of times when I'm in training classes, you have a user who can be, I don't want to say very chatty, but chatty. It would be nice sometimes if you could just mute the user and then just let them come off mute when you want, because sometimes they will interrupt the facilitator a lot.
Yeah, I think that's why we have the lock settings, right, Lucas? So you can set these so the users are not able to open your mic during.
Well, you don't want to discourage the ones who are quiet, but sometimes you don't want the one person to take over the class. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. So, for example, don't mute your microphone, Karen. I can mute it, right? Okay, so you're muted now. So we can do this. And
but see, I can come off mute. That's
you can. Yeah, yeah. We needed to have a lock on that. It's what we actually did. Our team was working on this last week. Is request to unmute. We called it. Developers have bad practice of naming stuff, so it was something like everyone is muted, but if the user wants to speak, they can request to speak. But we're going to think about this feedback. It's pretty useful. The thing
I
is,
mean, this is exactly the same functionality I would need for my talk time thing. But I mean, you could do a short term around it where as soon as someone unmutes, you could check immediately whether they're supposed to be unmuted and remute them. So you could do a workaround in the short term.
It doesn't help though if they can unmute themselves.
But that's what I mean. In other words, you essentially you have the plug-in check as soon as they're unmuted whether you want them to be unmuted, and you could immediately remute them. So it would be like a back and forth game. It's not a great solution, but it could be short term.
Yeah, but we can think about that. I'll just see if we had another question that I forgot here before. Stephen was asking, okay, we're asking how to request new features. Usually, you can just post on the open source spaces like GitHub or the mailing list. You can also talk with companies working with BigBlueButton, because there are lots of people that can build it for you. But yeah, usually we have lots of customers that ask for features. That's one of the reasons that we're trying to create these kinds of different use cases. I didn't forget anything. I think we answered mostly everything, so we'll just finish here and you can see the other talk. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for all the questions.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.